I've got some good news for you because this is going to be the best video that I've ever made. It's Monday morning as I'm recording this. You might see it later on, but what I'm going to show you is the secret behind where I've gotten to now. So 20K a month with my appointment setting agency, and then now 50, 60K a month with RC. I'll just show you the main Stripe account. We've got other ones just so I can get my point across about, hey, like this is actually working. I'm actually seeing results of this. Everything that I've gotten and everything I will get in the future is responsible because of this strategy. And what it's called is the three-headed dragon approach, right? So let me make myself a little bit smaller here because the first thing I'm going to go into is how this came about, right? I was somebody who deeply struggled with the ability to stay disciplined, focused for periods of time, right? Even when I was doing 15, 20K a month with my appointment setting agency, I was only doing deep work for 1-2 hours a day. Right, I remember vividly eating junk food, skipping the gym, scrolling on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Netflix, and I barely dragging through the morning, the day, whatever it might be. Right, so even when I was seeing success, my days were still extremely scattered. And I've had one day where I'd be extremely focused and another where nothing happened at all. It made me feel really bad with myself. You've come to a point where you are struggling to maximize the amount of time that you use, or you've even accepted it and you've said to yourself, hey, I can't be better. I don't know how people focus. Maybe it's just not for me. I'm here to tell you that that's not true, and that through watching this video, through implementing the three-headed dragon approach, anybody can go from absolutely nothing all the way to achieving exactly what they want, just because this allows you to maximize your capacity to actually see success, right? So before we start, I'm not going to give you a philosophy, right? This is a readily applicable, and the three-headed dragon approach is a readily applicable thing you can plug into your mind from the moment that you truly understand it. To explain what the word understand actually means, because a lot of people mistake it with the word comprehend, right? The word comprehend means to get the information, right? To have the information within your head. To understand means to stand under, which means to follow, right? So following the three-headed dragon approach right here, right? So if you want to remain laser focused through long periods of time, allow consistency to compound and you to make a lot of money, here is the process that you can use to increase your business. And I'm saying this, understanding that where I am right now is very modest to where I'm going to be as I keep following the strategy. Phase 3 is going to be the overview of the warrior. So I recall a time where I was in an existential crunch about wanting to be an entrepreneur, right? I felt that being an entrepreneur and being successful by conventional means was kind of cowardly. And the other half of me really wanted to escape society, become a warrior, traveler, adventurer, whatever you want to call it. What I really thought for a long period of time is that these two ruling forces were opposing each other when in reality they directly go into one thing. And what this is harnessing that, right? So if you're anything like myself, the idea of being a warrior is highly appealing, right? It's highly motivating because working out, playing sports always comes easy because it directly mirrors the ancestral expressions that we've had through a period of time, right? So this is where the three-head model comes in. I want you to imagine yourself this samurai. So this big guy right over here, right? You can see samurai, sword, body, whatever it might be. Samurai has three distinct parts of him, right? The first he has is the mind over here, which acts as the general. Second, he has the body acts as the soldier. Finally, he has the sword acts as the weapon in this image case. Within these three distinct parts, there are laws which govern exactly how each should be treated, and when followed, lead to a life of no wasted energy. There work in perfect collaboration to achieve and allocate all the energy, all the capacity that you spend within a day into direct alignment with your goal. What this does is it produces exceptional results, because the more you think about what you want, the more you see opportunity, the more you advance in it, and the more you learn. And because of that, you will then progress. So the first thing I'm going to address is the general, right? So the general is the mind, right? It's the thinking part, the conscious party that's listening to me right now. He has 5 laws, right? He is the most, because he's the most important within this whole thing, but he is the leader, right? He's the person that calls the shots. The first law that he abides by is the truth is the truth. You can either bend to it or forever live a lie. The truth is the truth is the truth. You can either bend to it or forever live a lie, right? The reason why I haven't had trouble saying it because it's so true, right? So are you in your life going to live a lie and try and delude yourself, or are you going to see the truth of the truth? Second law is that success is success, and money is simply a yardstick by which it's measured, right? So a lot of people will say, oh, this guy's got 2 million in the bank, he's rich, right? Or because of how much money somebody makes, they'll say somebody's successful, when in reality, it's flipped the other way, right? Someone isn't successful because they have a lot of money. Someone has a lot of money because they're successful. Successful in what? Successful in helping people and providing value each and every day, right? Elon Musk talks about this. the amount of money we make is in direct proportion to the difficulty of the problem that we solve, right? Or in other words, the value that we provide. So that is what success is really about. Success is not the amount of money we make, again, right? It is the amount of value that we provide to other people, and the money comes as a byproduct of that and as a yardstick of how much value that we can output to the world. Third law, so the Newton's third law of cause and effect, right? So for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? So a very practical example of this is the relation between risk and reward, right? So if you're going to risk absolutely everything on black at the casino, you have the risk of losing it all, but you also have the exact reward of gaining and doubling that, right? It's the exact same. So you have to understand that for each and every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Fourth, care for the truth, not about being right. So this goes in direct alignment with law one of the truth is the truth, and you have to care more about finding the truth and living by the truth than being right, right? And this is a very difficult one to embody because it means that you have to drop your ego, you have to stop arguing with people, you have to listen to different viewpoints because all you care about is the truth in the situation and not you being on a moral high ground of any way. The fifth and final law is that you've been given everything which you need to achieve anything that which you want, right? And that is my paraphrasing of a Napoleon Hill quote talking about how you've been bestowed every gift you need. But I'll give you an example, right? All the things that are the most valuable to you in your life, your health, your family, your parents, all these things, right? So healthy mind, healthy body, all these things, they are given to you for free, right? Yet a lot of people qualify them as extremely cheap things, right? They're the most expensive things. They're the things that no matter how hard you try, you can never replace. Yet a lot of us will say, oh, well, that's cheap, right? Yet we look at something like a Bugatti, right? 5.2 million. 5.2 million of what? A replaceable currency that gets printed from the sky, right? That is deemed as expensive when in reality it's flipped the other way. It's paradoxical, the fact that we believe everything that is really, really expensive is actually cheap, and then everything we believe to be cheap, our mind, our body, our parents, our friends, our family, is expensive, right? So that is the reality of this. And we take these invaluable things for granted, but then when we understand law number 5 up here, we've been given everything we need to succeed, and using our mind, body, we can go and out succeed, achieve, and deliver on anything we want in life. Then we can go ahead and achieve that, right? So these laws come into quick action when they isolate one thing, right? So the general has to find one thing within these laws, and right, that one thing is a distinct goal. So the goal is not time-based, it's simply a desired outcome that you would like to work towards. So for example, I want to become a millionaire, right? I want to become a millionaire. There's no time frame attached to that. I just want to become a millionaire. Once the general has placed his goal and he's set and agreed to live by these 5 laws here, we can carry on to the next head of the dragon. Right, the next head of the dragon is going to be the soldier. So as you can see on the samurai's body here, this is the arms, the body, the legs, the torso, everything there, right? So the body is simply the bronze to the brain. It operates in a far more simple fashion than the general does. He is simply meant to carry out orders for the general, but yet in a lot of cases, the person that we allow to actually be the general and make decisions, right? Your logical mind has no desire to eat junk food, to skip workouts, scroll social media. All the general cares about is his goal, right? That is the tiredness of the soldier at work when we have those desires. So given that your thinking mind is consciously listening to me right now, it falls under his duty to resolve this, right? So he's thinking right now, but the soldier sometimes calls the shots unconsciously. Here are the 3 laws of the soldier, right? So the first, that the soldier has fleshly desires. It is the general's duty to align them with his goal, right? So if you want to scroll, you want to do all these things, you have these fleshly desires, it is the general, the mind up here, it is his job to align them with the goal, right? So I want to become a millionaire in this case. When treated with care, the soldier is a servant to the general, right? So in some cases, the soldier opposes the general, and that's where you get conflict within yourself and indecision and all this stuff. But when treated with care, the soldier is a servant to the general. And the third is that the soldier has limits, right? It's the general's job to position him within victory or position him for victory within a battle. So I'll give you an example. We only have a certain amount of energy we can expend during a day, right? That is no different from the billionaire versus the guy who works minimum wage. Roughly the same energy that they have to expend within a day, right? The only difference is that their generals, their minds, position them in different ways in victory for battle, right? So reading these becomes very clear that the soldier is a highly misused piece in a lot of our lives, right? It's the equivalent to a highly powered tractor. You have a highly powered tractor, super strong, super good. You let it off on a cornfield with absolutely nothing, no guidance, no person in the driver's seat. It will not only ruin the crops, but it will destroy itself. Whereas if you carefully direct it, it will lead to a field full of crops and a field full of prosperity. So the lesson there is not to let your body make the decisions here, right? So to recap, the general is the person that makes the decisions, not the body. A final part is going to be the weapon, right? So directed by the will of the general, the soldier interacts through weapons and with weapons throughout his day. So I'm going to look at the definition of weapon here. Weapon is any instrument or device for use in attack or defense, combat, fighting, or war. I want you to highlight the or war here, right? So we look at the definition of war. War is to be an active or vigorous conflict, right? So the definition of war in simplest terms is active conflict. Across the world right now, we typically see wars in the lens of the modern, which is nukes, poverty, all these terrible things, right? It's a zero-sum game led by people who pull strings very high up, right? By modern means, war is not a good thing. But if you look at war from its objective definition, it's just active and vigorous conflict, then in a lot of instances in our life, we are constantly going to war, right? If running your agency is war for you, then it makes you understand that your mind is the general, your body is the soldier, and is your mouse the weapon that you interact with? Correct, right? It is. So if you dedicate the first 8 hours of your day towards running your agency or going to war, everything you touch during that period would be considered a weapon in your battle. It's very traditional. Weapons like guns or swords, you can cause as much damage to yourself as you can others with these weapons. So your phone is an example of a weapon that everybody has. Some people use that weapon to positively attack the world, win their war, generate millions, even billions, while others have the exact same capability but end up hurting themselves by looking at girls dance on TikTok all day. Right? So here are the three laws which the weapon follows. Oh, I don't even have the first one. You can go two laws that the weapon follows. Right? The first, that a weapon should only be touched with intentionality. Right? So the only time you should touch a weapon is when you have intentionality behind why you're doing it. And the third law is that a weapon should only be used to move you closer to your goal. So if you only touch a weapon with intention and you only use it to move closer towards your goal, you will then see success as the weapon. So when you don't apply these laws, it doesn't make much sense for you to pull out your phone randomly. Right? It becomes very difficult for you to even touch or pull out your phone because you have to understand that you need to touch it with intentionality. And if you're going to use it, it should only be used to move you closer towards your goal. So following each one of these, all your thoughts within your mind become centered around what it is exactly you want. And as Miyamoto Musashi says, if you know the way, you will see it broadly in all things, right? So understanding that throughout your day, you interact with weapons, you interact with these things, and they actually have a direct correlation to you actually going out and achieving your goals. So if we look at this from a holistic perspective, and I pull up my whiteboard here, this is how you know it's getting good. I pull up the whiteboard and we start to really dive into things. And if you're watching this far, I appreciate you. You're going to make a lot of money using this. Make myself a little bit bigger here. So here again is the warrior, right? We've got the general. We've got the soldier. And then we've got, let's just put a gun here, and we've got the weapon, right? So these are the three aspects by which we are operating. So the laws, right? I'm going to repeat the laws extremely quickly. Just go over them one more time so we properly understand everything within them, right? So the first law is over here. Can I find it? Here we go. Truth is truth. You can either bend to it or fail to lie. Success is success. Money is the yardstick by which it is measured. For each action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Care for truth, not about being right, and you've been given everything which you need to achieve anything which you want. Soldier has fleshly desires. It's the general duty to align them with its goal. When treated with care, the soldier is servant to the general. The soldier has limits. It is the general's job to position him for victory within a battle. The third or two set of laws are going to be: a weapon should only be touched with intentionality. A weapon should only be moved to use you closer towards your goal. So given all of that, it becomes very, very easy to determine what we need to do within a day to actually achieve success. Go out there and make a difference in the world. So if we believe the truth is truth and all those laws, we're going to wake up in the morning, and are we going to touch our phone? No, because what it goes against, what it breaks the law of, we should only be touching our phone with the intentionality, right? Because it's a weapon. The same way that your phone is a weapon, so is this mug, right? I'm only touching it with the intentionality of giving an example to you right now, or I'm touching it with the intentionality of taking a sip, because that moves me close towards my goal, because the caffeine in this cup of coffee gives me energy, which allows me to focus and record the rest of this video properly, right? So that is understanding all these laws about, and when you play them into your general day, what happens is all the thoughts and everything which you think about becomes into direct alignment with what it is you want to achieve. So I want to become a millionaire, so everything I'm thinking about during a day is about how do I make money? How do I manage my finances? How do I increase the bottom line net profit revenue that I take from my business? And because of that, because all my thoughts are centered around that, I progress at a way faster rate than everybody else. I want you to imagine this as a turf war, right? So we've got 100% of a turf below here that gets divvied up. And what determines success is how much of a turf that we actually manage to take control of. So let's say this is 51%, right? If we have 51% of our thoughts centered towards becoming a millionaire, sure, we want to become a millionaire, but by the time we are 80, right? Because we're progressing so slow, right? We have such a low amount of our thoughts centered towards what we actually want. We're going to move at a 1% progression rate. Whereas if we go like this and we focus, let's say, 90% of our thoughts towards becoming a millionaire, then we're going to maybe hit millionaire by 22, by 20, by these extremely young ages. Because the more we think about it, the more that we take action that's in alignment with it. The big thing about quote unquote taking action, the secret behind taking action, is to truly think as if you wanted to achieve these things. If you think as somebody who wants to make $1 million and you adopt this mindset of thinking and having these positive thoughts, by default, you're going to go out and do the things that require you to see success. I don't have to try and read. I don't have to try and work in the morning. I want to work in the morning, right? And the only reason why that is because my mind is focused around that which I want to achieve, which is becoming a millionaire. So everything else falls in place. I need you to understand that if you can focus your thoughts, you will go out and you will achieve these exact same things following the laws of the warrior and the three-headed dragon philosophy. So that's my secret. That's my sauce. That's what I've learned from compiling everything I've learned from Luke Belmar, Napoleon Hill, Ray Dalio. All these guys make a lot of money, and I've packaged it in a way that is formatable for your marketing agency. And this is some sauce. This is what allowed me to get to where I am right now, doing about 50 to 60K a month between on average across all the businesses that RSC runs. And it's what's going to allow me to eventually become a millionaire, right? Which is my big goal right now. And then even past a millionaire, a lot more money. And that is the secret, giving it to you guys early, giving it to you to show you what I've achieved at such a young age. I'm 16, doing this strategy. So if you find this valuable, just drop a like button because this ain't no charity. And I'll see you guys in the next one.